This is the perfect RIA, in case you didn't know. Bringing you all the strategies to help your business grow. Are you happy? Are you satisfied? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? Sit back and listen in while you feel the beat, yeah. Another myth bites the dust.
Hello, TPR Nation. This is Amber Kuhn from The Perfect RIA. Thank you for joining me on today's Follow-Up Friday. Before I get into today's recap, if you're enjoying our episodes, we'd love for you to give us 5 stars wherever you listen to our podcast. And make sure that you're subscribing so you don't miss an episode. On Monday, Matt and Micah were talking about those pesky alerts that you continue to allow on your phone and into your day. There's only a few alerts that are appropriate to get. But beyond that, every other one is just destructive to your productivity and your mental well-being. And alerts are just that. They're intended to grab your attention from what you're doing to let you know about something else. Now, with the alerts that you receive, they said that you need to look to see whether they're serving you and helping you build the type of life and business that you want. It's easy to justify that you need them and why you need them, but the guys shared they've shut off almost every single one and their practices continue to grow. Proof that the alerts aren't needed. So as the guys have said, every alert has a price and everything we talk about at The Perfect RIA is about being intentional. So you need to look at the alerts and see if the benefit is worth the price. But if you want to be running a multi-million-dollar practice and deliver incredible value to your clients, you can't be spending your time managing meaningless alerts. So how do you improve in this area? One way is to delete your email from your phone, which the guys have helped our advisors do physically by taking their phone and removing that. And think about why this is needed, because that person can't resist the draw of the dopamine from that alert. So then you just take it out of the equation. So in some situations, it's not about just reducing. It's about eliminating something completely. And you might need to look at this with social or with instant messaging. Now, they mentioned that some people claim that they don't have a problem. However, they shared a test for this. So if you ever tell yourself that you didn't have time to do something, whether it's prospecting or implementing search or having personal development, go to your phone, look at the screen time for the week. That'll show you how many times you picked up your phone and how long you looked at it. The overall key is really understanding where your weaknesses are. Now, with team communication, one area where people tend to get into trouble is related to instant messages and thinking that if someone messages them, that they have to respond to it right away. This is where that communication policy comes into play. So you have a plan for when the team is checking messages and how to handle 911 situations. Now, it's possible to take removing these alerts too far. For example, the guys think that not having your calendar on a personal phone can hinder you, because so much of what you do revolves around your calendar. So when removing things, look at what you're solving for. The calendar also makes your family life better. Think about if you have a sick child, you can look at the calendar to see whether you need to make adjustments to your day or if you can just take care of things because life happens. The guys also like to have personal items on their calendar as well because that helps team members see when they can and can't book things. So you need to be communicating between work and personal time on your calendar. And also make sure that all of your travel is on there. Another notification that the guys like is the stopwatch. And they use that in between appointments, and that allows them to not constantly be looking at the clock. The guys also talked about transitioning to vacation and how it's not always easy to switch from work mode into vacation or family time. For Micah, he said it takes him a couple of days, and so they plan this accordingly. He also knows that after about 10 days of being unplugged, he has this urge to look at work. If not, it's going to affect him. So he factors that time needed into vacation instead of fighting it. And the reason that this works and is okay is because Mike is looking at what he's solving for. So he needs that time with his family, but he's being intentional with knowing he wants to schedule some time for work. And so if he can have a healthy outlet and be intentional about what he needs to do, then it's solving that problem. The guys then went into some responses that Matt received on LinkedIn from a post he made about alerts. One was from a person saying that they get alerts when DocuSign or client communications come in that maybe they forgot about. On the surface, this might seem like a good idea, but instead they recommend having time scheduled with the team on when to review things like this. And also, your team should be receiving most client communications. They also said that you could have a checklist for when you're leaving the office. Another comment was how Apple can provide a scheduled summary of your alerts at a certain time. And this is something that Micah uses during Surge. And what he likes about it is once his Do Not Disturb turns off, he then gets that summary. And it's like an alarm for him that he needs to wrap up his work mode. because he said it's still easy for him to get wrapped up in staying longer in surge hours, but that just really turns into playing office. Let's get into action items. Take out your phone and turn off all notifications. And then you can allow those certain exceptions, such as calls and texts from your spouse and your kids. Then go back in a week or two and then turn back on the ones that cause a huge issue. Delegate and elevate. Look at things that your team needs to be taken care of and make sure that it's scheduled when you need to be reviewing and signing things. On Thursday, Jamie was talking about questions she's received about transitioning when a team member needs to go or if they resign. So she was getting into the details of the do's and the don'ts of firing and handling those resignations, as well as how to handle this with other team members. Because when someone leaves the organization, she wants to make sure that there isn't a ripple effect where people feel unsettled. Before even getting to where someone is being let go, one of the things that Jamie shared is that she informs every team member what will get them fired. And she says this over and over again. One thing is that if they do something illegal, two is if they do something unethical, and the third is if they create drama. In a situation where she's going to fire someone for an egregious mistake, she wants it done right away. She's going to terminate them and shut off all their access immediately on every platform. Now, how about for resignations? Now, Jamie pointed out that not all endings are bad endings, especially with the recent situation she had where the person had a lot going on in their life and they just weren't happy and they weren't feeling that they were bringing their best. So it ended up being mutual on both parties. Jamie thinks that a 30-day notice shows that the employee values and respects you as well. So when they've given this much time, she'll discuss with that person how to be intentional about the next 30 days. With the example that she shared, she asked that person to spend the next 3 weeks focusing on training another person. Then that last week was set up as part-time to help make sure that the team was ready. Now, there's another side to this. And in another situation Jamie had, it was related to drama, where someone was singling people out. But she said when there's a chance to educate someone and let them take responsibility, they'll do that. And in this instance, they went through where the employee was deficient and what they needed to do. Well, during that time, the person started looking for another job. And with their resignation and 2-week notice, they shared that everyone else was incompetent. So instead of letting this person stay on for 2 weeks, they decided it wasn't needed and ended the employment at that time. Jamie said if someone's employment ends within the first 6 months and they've used their PD and technology bonus during that time frame, then the employee owes back the amount used on a pro rata basis. This is stated in her employment contracts, and it's part of why Jamie said it's so important that details are outlined in those agreements. She'll also cash out their PTO that they've earned and will let them know that all electronics need to be returned within 24 hours. Jamie keeps everything documented within an employee's personnel file, whether it's a termination or resignation, any review notes, and they also have an exit interview if there's a non-compete to remind them of that and the provisions. That way nothing is violated. However, she does allow people to buy themselves out of a non-compete. She always makes sure to notify her accountant and will then have a team meeting, whether the person was terminated or they resigned. She also has a one-on-one call to stakeholders, and those are the people who should know before anyone else. This could be a lead or an integrator. That way they can help answer any questions. During the meeting, if it's a good goodbye, then she says to make sure to celebrate it. If it's bad, then she'll let the team know that everything will be okay, because usually what they're concerned about is what the plan is and how the workload is going to be dispersed and how our client's still going to be taken care of. So make sure that you have a plan in place. Now, what does Jamie not do? She doesn't go back and forth with an employee that's leaving on what they did or didn't do, because there isn't any value in that. And there's no point in getting into an argument with someone. If someone's leaving on negative terms, then they're not going to learn by what you have to say in that moment. She said you have a choice about how you're going to handle the situation and respond. And whatever choice you make will set the tone going forward, because every other employee in your organization will be watching to see how their potential departure will be handled in the future. And if people are outside of your organization and asking about an employee leaving, Jamie said to let them draw their own conclusions and that she's not going to facilitate or justify what happened because it doesn't serve her, her team, or her clients. Let's get into action items. Create a master checklist that lists what every employee has access to. And if you don't have good personnel files, go and clean that up. Those need to include the employee's I-9, their W-4, their job description, employment agreements, any type of verbal or written counseling that you've ever had, and their resignation letter, as well as any sort of internal notes. And if you don't have employee agreements, go get them and put those in place. Before we go, TPR Nation, if you're ready to grow and dramatically impact your life and those around you, and you want resources to help, reach out to us at lifestyle@theperfectri.com, or you can visit theperfectri.com/grow. That wraps up this week's recap. Thank you for joining me, and please share this or any of our episodes with another advisor or team member who you think might benefit from listening. And until next time, happy planning.
Hold on before we go. Something that you need to know. This isn't tax, legal, or investment advice. That isn't our intent. Information designed to change lives. Financial planning can make you thrive. Start today, don't think twice. Be a better husband, father, mother, and wife. The perfect RIA, the perfect RIA.